Hi, my name's Kevin and I'm the Bad Back Gardener. In today's video I'm going to be showing you my tomato planting recipe. I'll show you what all I do to plant a tomato, what all I put in with my stuff, and how I plant it, hopefully to keep it going throughout the summer. The various things that I put in to keep it going through the summer and help to get it to its best health and producing the best tomatoes I can get. So we're going to get started with that. First thing I've done is prep this bed, and I have some row cover on it because I have some other tomatoes planted at the other end. But I do leave the row cover on after I plant it. It kind of helps acclimate it to being outside, and well protects it on any colder weather this time of year. It's still pretty early here in my area of the country to be planting tomatoes. I do it, and I do it through row cover or plastic, and I can even put a heater in with them to keep them going. But I try and get the tomatoes in as early as I can. So I've already prepped the bed. I've added some mushroom compost to it and mixed it all up. I've covered it with black plastic to keep the weeds and keep the soil heated up. And then I've also put my supports behind it here. I've got the green vinyl covered fencing behind it that I tie my tomatoes to during the year. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut a hole in the plastic and dig my hole out. So I'm going to get started with that. Put my gloves on here. Grab my scissors. And I'm just going to cut a hole maybe 3 to 4 inches around. And that's all there is to that. And then I'm just going to dig down, because my tomato plants are probably about that long. So they're probably about a little over a foot long. So I want to bury them and basically trench them in as deep as I can. So I'll probably leave a 3 to 4, maybe 6 inches at most hanging out from the ground. And all along that stem of the tomato, it's going to produce roots. And it's going to be more drought resistant during the summertime when it's got a bigger root system underneath the ground. So I'm going to go ahead and dig down pretty far here in the ground. The deeper you go, the more drought resistant your plants are going to be. I've had plants this high that when I planted them around this top, deep in the ground. So that looks pretty good in there. So I'm going to take my gloves off now here. So I got it down deep. So the first thing I'm going to add is some fertilizer. And fertilizer I'm using today is called Natural Guard. It's a slow release fertilizer, so it lasts for 3 to 4 months of the season. So it's going to take me into July and August when this is producing well. It's still going to be given some fertilizer. I may give it a little bit more at that point, but all this is pellet form. So it's a slow release fertilizer. You can use Osmocote or something like that. I've used that in the past too. So I'm just going to put some in the hole. And then to fill in dirt too, I also spread some stuff in. So put some of that in. So that's the first thing I put in. Then the next thing I put in is soil moist. It's a little crystals. Little crystals that when they get water, it swells up. And then they slowly release the water to the plant over time. So that helps with the drought, so I don't have to water as much during the summer and the heat and stuff too. So I'm gonna just put a little bit of that. You don't need a whole lot of this. Spread a little bit in the dirt. That's called soil moist. So the next thing I'm going to put in is a bag of Epsom salts here, and that's going to add magnesium sulfate to the plant, and tomato plants love that stuff. So I'm just going to again Put a little bit in the fill-in soil, and a little bit in the bottom. Now the next thing I want to add is I want to make sure there's calcium in the soil. So I will add some lime. This is just a little pulverized lime in here. So I spread that on a little bit in there, a little bit in there. And then the other thing I did, and if you've seen any of my other videos, you might have seen me do it, is I'll add gypsum to the soil. That contains calcium too, and some other nutrients for the plant. So one way you can do that is if you have any pieces of drywall laying around, you can use drywall. And what I did, and I've done in the past, is take the drywall and take a rasp. And you take that rasp and just put a fair amount. You can put a lot of that in. You can really go crazy with that. You're not going to hurt anything. And put a lot of the drywall dust in your soil. But to save on my planting time this year, I found some gypsum pellets. And this is actual gypsum pellets that contain the same thing that they make gypsum board and stuff out of. Or it's a byproduct or the same kind of deal. So I'm going to put that in also instead of doing the drywall. So we'll see how that turns out. This is the first year I've used that in my planting, so we'll see if that helps out as well. So that's pretty much my recipe for planting tomato. So then I just take my tomato here. It's looking a little sad. It's been inside. They're getting too big for the inside. And unfortunately, I don't have a greenhouse yet. So I'm going to put it down deep in the soil. I'm going to break out that little peat pot a little bit there. So I'm just going to leave about this much hang out. I'm going to gently fill in around the plant because you don't want to break the plant. They can be very tender. So we'll take the fill-in dirt here and just gently fill in around that. Yank it down a little bit. That's what I'm going to leave out. Then I'm going to take and water it in. Water that in real good. And then I will take a little bit of dust as well. And I have like some insect dust, like 7 or something like that. And I'll put a little wee bit around the bottom of it just to keep any cutworms or anything from getting to it. I don't put a whole lot, just a little bit. So now that's planted. I will cover the row cover and leave the row cover on until the weather gets warmer. By the time the weather gets warm enough to take the row cover off, it'll be big, it'll be strong, dark green, and ready to go. So that's my video on planning on how I plant my tomatoes and my little recipe I have going. It's worked for me in the past. I plant probably over 100 plants a year so I can make my salsa and stuff, but that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching the video. Catch up with me on Facebook. You can also email me at bbgardner@zoominternet.net. And as always, if your back ain't hurting, you ain't working.